Hello, we are live and welcome. Today we are talking about the very important topic of helping someone who's being abused in a relationship. We're going to talk about the how-tos and how to not. So we are very excited. We have a special guest who will be joining us today. So we are going to get her on here. And just a second. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Carrie Spicer. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I am the PowerBack manager. And the PowerBack program is to educate and empower students and teens to end dating abuse. So our special guest for today is joining us. And we are so excited to have her. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela. I'm from High School, and I'm a PowerBack leader. Hello.
We are very excited to have you, Angela. I hope the connection's okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, it broke out for a bit, but
okay, but we're back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's get started. Today we are talking about helping someone being abused in a relationship. So why are we talking about this today?
So sometimes friends and family don't realize the seriousness of a situation or don't know how to help in specific situations. So we want to be sure that they know how to help.
Yes, exactly. And we have a lot of viewers here. So welcome to our viewers watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or just send us some love, send us some hearts while you're watching us. So let's start about what not to do, how not to help somebody. So the first thing we should not do is blame the victim for the abuse. So what might that look like?
Okay, so asking questions like, what's your role in this? What did you do to make that happen? Imagine how the abuser felt. You shouldn't have done that, or why don't you just leave the relationship?
Yeah, that question about why don't you just leave, right? That is a question that people tend to ask right away. But that's really not a great question to ask. And there's so many reasons why that's not a good question to ask. But we're going to go over a few. One of them is that it places the blame on the victim for the abuse that's happening in the relationship, right? And so it makes them feel responsible or at fault for the abuse. And we definitely don't want to be doing that. So what we do want to do is hold the abuser accountable for the abuse. So we should really be asking questions like, why doesn't this person stop abusing in their relationship or to the person that they say that they love? It also negates the complexities. It ignores the complexities of somebody who's dealing with an abusive relationship, which there are many complexities, which we're not going to talk about too much today. But it's important to remember that there are a lot of reasons why someone might not feel like they could leave a relationship, or they're preventing from someone from leaving a relationship. And that could be due to fear of getting out of that situation. It could be that they're isolated, that they don't have support system, or they don't have help to get out, or that they're in a relationship with somebody that they love and care about, even though the abuse is happening. So there are a lot of different complexities that can play into why we should not say that.
Yeah, I agree. And additionally, brushing off the situation, so saying something to the victim like, that's not a big deal, don't worry about it. To begin with, it doesn't even take their feelings into account. And it's not taking the situation seriously, which could lead to invalidated feelings. Additionally, don't sympathize with the abuser. Saying that they were having a bad day or that they were stressed out minimizes the victim's feelings and places more sympathy on the feelings. Don't be judgmental about the situation and bash the abuser. Saying, I don't even know why you like them, they're a terrible person, just shuts down the victim and leads them to not telling you anything anymore.
Yes, I agree. That would definitely not make me want to talk to somebody if they said that to me.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. And another thing you should not do is not to confront the abuser, especially about information that the victim was telling you about. And that could really be a safety issue, right? We don't want to divulge any information that was shared with us in confidence. And if, sometimes we can be really upset about what we're hearing as somebody who cares about that person that's in the relationship. And if we want to go and talk to the abuser about that, the abuser might take that information and actually take it out on the victim. So we really don't want to do that, because we obviously don't want to do anything that's going to or cause more harm to anyone that's in an abusive situation already. We also don't want to pressure, give ultimatums, or tell anybody what to do. Like, you should leave, or if you don't get out of this relationship, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore, right? We don't want to say those things, because then we're actually only uh, helping the abuser by continuing to isolate that person, or by continuing to disempower that person by telling them what to do. Like, no one wants to be told what to do. No one wants to feel forced into doing anything. So we definitely don't want to be that kind of friend or person.
Yeah, definitely. People want their own independence, and no matter how much time it takes, just have patience. So that's all for not helping a friend. Let's move on to what's more important, which is helping a friend. There are many ways you could help them. So speaking to them privately, face to face in a quiet room. This is so that they could take you seriously. You could take them seriously and get the most out of the conversation. In a car or like in a room would be a best place. You really want to take them serious and tune in what they're telling you, because they might be telling you something very important. And with that, listen to their feelings, believe them, and keep the information confidential, as they're putting their trust in you to keep everything private.
Yes, that's so important. We definitely want to keep everything private and confidential, but we also do want to recognize when somebody is in danger, and if their safety is at risk. Because if their safety is in danger, and they're at risk, we do have to, we must tell somebody who can help in that situation. So whether that's talking to a trusted adult, whether that's calling the police, or calling a hotline to get more information. We want to make sure that everybody stays safe in these kinds of situations, because they can be really dangerous. And along those lines, we want to make sure that the person who is in an abusive relationship has a safety plan to get out of that relationship. And also, while they're in the relationship as well, to have a safety plan. And a safety plan, the purpose of that is to ensure their safety, both physically and technologically as well, to make sure that they can maintain their safety while in the relationship, trying to get out, and then staying out of the relationship. So that includes, access to resources, knowing how to stay safe, and to get help when needed. And so, if somebody does need a safety plan, it's really important that they get that information with somebody who's trained in the dynamics of abusive relationships, so that they can have a robust and a safe plan. So you can always recommend that, or give them the information for the hotline to get that.
Yeah, of course. That's really helpful information, Carrie. Thank you. So, also with safety planning, be sure to use code words and hand signals. So, recently with the pandemic, a lot of people have been inside with people like abusers. So, a victim may, face more violence and harm. So, there was a hand signal that was adopted, which is the domestic violence hand signal. So, I'll demonstrate it really quick. It starts with an open hand. The closed thumb, and then the fingers that wrap around your thumb. I think it's really important that everyone knows this hand signal, because at any given time, a victim may be signaling for help, and they're relying on you to provide the help to them to help them get out of that situation. And when you're one-on-one with the victim, it's really important that you're there for them and supporting them, to asking them, how can I help? Or doing actions to help them, telling them about your concern. So saying something like, I'm really concerned about your relationship and or your safety. This really reassures them that you are going to be there for them. And just telling them what you see and observe about the types of abuse. Being in a relationship, abuse can become so normalized to them that they don't know how to tell right from wrong. So if you're pointing out the wrongdoings of their abuser, they might be able to open their eyes a bit and see that they are worth so much more than the abuse that their abuser is giving them. And always tell them that the abuse is not their fault. It's always going to be the abuser's fault. They have all control while the victim does not.
Yes, that's so true. And not only that it's not their fault, but their abuse that the abuse isn't their responsibility at all. So that's really important too. You can also tell them not only what your concerns are and the abuse that you're observing, but what love actually is, so that they can see the difference between the behaviors and the treatment that they're getting and what love actually is and looks like when somebody does care about you. You can
Yeah.
also ask them what their boundaries are. So, what are you okay with? What are you not okay with? And start to have them explore a little bit about what is okay and not okay for them in their relationship. It's really important to build them up, focus on their strengths and on their individuality. This is really important because oftentimes in abusive relationships, the abuser is constantly lowering somebody's self-esteem. So anything you can do to boost their self-esteem, make them feel better about themselves, make them feel empowered, is going to be super, super helpful. And part of that is also respecting their choices and their decisions, because everyone is their own expert in their own lives and in their own situations. So we want to be respectful of that. And another really good tip for helping someone is to document. So if somebody tells you about something that happened to them, make sure that you keep it in a notebook, that you're writing down the dates and the times and what is happening, so that you have a record of that information. And that will help you so that you can remind that person, hey, don't you remember when this happened? And you also have a record to show how long the abuse has been going on and what types of abuse have been occurring. So that's also really important to keep documentation.
Yeah, I agree. So always keep that in the back of your mind that, you should be taking this information down. Also, really quickly going back to respecting their choices. It takes time, it's a progress, but helping them along the way, giving them resources could help make them. And like we said, it's a progress. So just be consistent with helping, don't give up, and let them know that they can rely on you to help empower them.
Yes, definitely. So we do want to leave you with some resources. The National Teen Dating Abuse Helpline is hosted by loveisrespect.org. So you can go to loveisrespect.org for additional information about teen dating violence, and also for to chat with them online. You can also call them at 1-866-331-9474, or text love is to 22522. And if somebody's being physically abused or you feel like they're unsafe in any way, you can always call 911. There's also a link in our bio to our PowerBack manual that has additional resources and lots more information about this if you need it. So I just want to thank our wonderful co-star Angela for being here. I want to thank you all for watching. We hope that you learned some information about how to help a friend. Angela, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are more than happy to help. And again, thank you, Carrie, for having me. It was great being here.
Thank you all so much. It was wonderful to have you, Angela, and I hope we get to have you again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right, bye everyone.